this session, you're going to learn from Ryan Stanier, the founder of the Other Art Fair, presented by Saatchi. After a successful corporate career, he made an introduction into the art world with the launch of Artbeat, a commercial gallery space dedicated to the promotion of emerging artists. Ryan went in search of London's most talented young artists, building relationships at credit shows and studio visits. His learnings led him to start the Other Art Fair, now a global standalone fair that differs from its contemporaries as a place for artists to sell work directly to both established and first-time buyers, as well as to gain exposure to galleries. The Other Art Fair is also an opportunity for visitors to gain unprecedented access to the best undiscovered artists.
I would say probably the number one thing that people ask me is, I'm thinking about the artists that don't sell. So you've been there for the 4 days of the fair and you haven't sold an artwork. And then people come, often those artists will approach me and say, look, I didn't get from it what I thought. Now, I would always say that, and this is, it's genuinely true. I have this theory that only 50% of the artwork sold actually happens on the site of the fair. So again, going back to sort of being proactive, I would always say, when you're at the fair, you take assuming they've listened to all the information you've given in the lead up, you then have a sort of, not a database, but you'd have a list of all the email addresses and people's names and everything that they've collected throughout the 4 days. Ideally, they've also made a little note of the artwork that you were talking about with those people. And let's assume they then haven't bought anything. The number one thing we always say is on the Monday after the fair, email those people. If you've still got the work available, attach that work and say, hey, pleasure meeting you at the fair. This is the work that we were discussing. Would you still be interested in buying it? Now, I always like to give the example. There was an artist not so long ago. She came to the fair, exactly that. She was selling quite big paintings. And if you'd imagine, a big painting is a couple of £1,000s. So it's not like always a spontaneous purchase. So it's a more of a considered approach. She took on that advice. She didn't sell anything at the fair. She took on that advice, emailed people. She then got 5 studio visits off the back of her emails. Out of those 5, she sold 5 paintings. So she's walked away from the fair saying, haven't sold anything over this weekend, but then she's proactively sent all these emails out. And again, nobody wants to do it. It's a pain. You're tired. It's the last thing you want to do. But people do that. The artists that do that then do see the reward for it. For everybody, it starts with one contact. For me, it was no different. I didn't have any direct contacts within the art world. I started working for a guy who is running a number of art fairs, and he was like my first contact. And then from then, I would spend a lot of time with him. Go and buy him a glass of wine when he went to an exhibition or something, and then you start talking to somebody else. And really, it's just putting yourself out there and speaking to as many people as you can. What I love about working at the fair is that we get probably 20. I'm not calling them volunteers because we pay all of our interns. So they come and work at the fair for the duration of the fair, and they're all people aspiring to get into the art world. I love the ones that come over to me and they want to talk and they want to make me one of their contacts, in the hope that I might be able to create an opportunity for them at some point, because I did exactly the same, right? And that's what we all have to do, unfortunately, in life. It's just, it's that sort of fearless thing. And also, it doesn't have to be as daunting as it sounds. Have fun with it. We're all just normal human beings at the end of the day. Obviously not all of us are so normal, but, it should be an enjoyable thing. It's a beautiful industry to be working in, and we should all just enjoy it a little bit more, I think. I would say certainly go to lots of exhibitions. At that stage, you're probably doing that anyway. Walk through the door of every gallery in your city. Just go in there and chat to people. Really try and get your work in front of people as well. And how you do that, obviously you need to think about going back to sort of working with some people and not others, but also do your own things. So I think a lot of people, especially in the world that we live in now, everybody's looking for the quick fix. How do I become successful overnight? All of this sort of thing. That's, people are always thinking about that approach. There's no rush, right? in any of our lives, regardless of what you do, we're all sort of rushing around trying to get immediate success. It doesn't happen overnight. It just doesn't. I mean, I've been running the art fair now for 8 years. For 6 of those years, I was like sleeping on couches and doing whatever it took. I was painting the walls at 4 o'clock in the morning before the artists came in. It's just, you just got to do these things. And also, and it's still now, it's nice because I get to fly all over the world and putting on these fairs, but I still miss that. So, think about the journey, and it's not about, being a successful artist. Just enjoy the whole process.